work.
Oh, thank you. So here we are. We're over at this show now. And I'm Rand Hoppy. I'm the executive director of the Jack Kirby Museum.
I'm Tom Kraft, the president of the Jack Kirby Museum, and we have with us
Jean Depelley from France.
Excellent. It's great to see you from across the Atlantic.
Nice to see you again, guys.
It's 6 o'clock in the evening, I take it.
Well, no, it's 6 p.m. So it's yes, okay. Yes.
So, what have you been working on these days? You have an interesting Kirby project that you've been working on. We can go backwards in time, or we can start way back. How would you like to start?
Yeah, we can start with what I'm currently doing with my friend Marc Azema. You know him, so he's a very good director, a specialist in documentary films. And well, together we've been doing a new documentary about Jack Kirby. The title is The Dna of Jack Kirby. And it's finished right now, so it should be played anytime on French TV and hopefully on an American channel. I don't know when, but there's an American version of it as well. And well, so we are very lucky because we had Jeremy Kirby with us. And so he visited us in France, and so we visited the place, you know, where Jack landed in Normandy. Mm-hmm. And well, the basic idea behind that documentary is it's a sort of a prequel to the preceding film we made together with Marc, which is called Kirby at War, and that you already know because it's on Amazon Prime.
Yes.
And this one. Happens just before Kirby at War, so it will stop where Kirby at War will begin. And it's about Jack's time just before he went to the army, and his last work for DC, for Timely, for DC, and especially the way he foresaw the D-Day more than 1 year before. Mm. So he did that on in some stories of boy commandos, and it's really amazing.
Yeah.
And so we compare several things, you know, the stories he did in 1943, 42, 43, and what actually happened in Normandy, and it's rather surprising.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's great. I'm really looking forward to it. The Kirby at War was wonderful, and
thank you so much.
That's great.
Really looking forward to seeing, you know, how you pulled that all together.
Yeah, and so we were very fortunate to have Jeremy because you know, I'm not an actor. I'm just a Kirby fan, well, I was behind the camera, but also in front of it, and I'm not very good at it. And so Jeremy was a real joy because I was not on my own. I was not afraid at all, and it was just friends speaking with friends. So it was really good.
So I'm just gonna do kind of like a general greeting and hello, just to say that, you know, we are on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter live, and we welcome anybody to say hello to us in any of those messages that are attached to this video. If you want to just say hi or ask some questions, we'll do our best we can to interact with you in that manner and pass questions along to Jean. So, you know, now that I've gotten, I usually do that at the beginning, but I didn't. So, so how was it that you realized who Jack Kirby was, or what was can you give us a little bit of the beginning of your Jack Kirby experience?
Oh yeah, so it comes back a long way. So it started when I was a kid. I was probably 8 or something, and you know, at that time, the French comic books, the American comic books were translated, and they were very badly printed and very badly published. And I remember one day when I asked my mother to buy one of them. So I have it there. So it's a Equito.
All right, that's
Wow.
great.
It's a pocket book, black and white. But
Yeah.
what was really problematic for me was that in French, for some reasons, it was adult comics. So my mother was very reluctant to buy them to me, and
Okay.
after I got hooked by them, so I had to buy them secretly,
Right.
sort of hide for adults on the cover,
That's
and it
hilarious.
was really stressful for me at the time. And just to show you, because I prepared it, so I had to completely rebind the books in order to
Oh,
not to have problems with my parents. So this
Wow.
one,
right.
this one I did when I was 10,
Oh, cool.
That is
And
great.
if you take a look at that, you have, with a Jack Kirby story, because I knew when I was 10 who Jack Kirby was.
Pretty cool.
Because in the meantime, I had discovered his Fantastic Four episodes, the ones inked by, but the best ones by, what's his
Sinnott?
name? Yes,
Sinnott?
just not, sorry. And that were published in magazines, in albums, what we call them.
Yes.
And so I was completely hooked, and I was completely in love with his art, and with Stan Lee, and the Marvel, and everything. So when I discovered Mr. Miracle in these adult for adult pocket books, so I was quite surprised, because it was a shock. There was 10 years or something between these stories, and the style of Jack Kirby had improved a lot. And it was as if I was discovering Picasso after classic art. And I was a bit surprised, and not realizing how good it was at the moment. It took me some years to realize how good it was. Yeah. And you had also something very important in my country. It was
Yes.
called Strange, the magazine Strange.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And they were publishing the best Marvel titles, including The Eternals. And The
Wow.
Eternals was unfortunately cancelled because of censorship. And so
Really?
we had to wait years to know the end of the story. Yeah.
Why was it censored, do you think?
Yeah, it was censored because, in France, there was a policy that started just after World War II, that was to protect the French culture from the American culture.
Yeah.
It was a sort of protection, It involved the movie production. And just after the war, in the state, there were some communists who were working for the state, and they were totally against the return of the American culture, just as it was before the war. And
Okay.
so they fought against it, and there was a law in 1949 that was set to protect the youth against, I would say, crime and delinquency, but that was purely against American culture.
Right.
So I made a film about it, and that is focusing on Jack Kirby as well. It is called Marvel 14. I did that with my friend Philippe Roure. And it was very popular in this country, and so it focuses on this law that was from 49, and that, in a way, was good for French artists, because it sort of promoted them, helped them to make their career, but it sort of stopped the publication of great things from America, Terry and the Pirates, and all the great stuff from after war.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, so in order to continue, because I have tons of books behind me.
Oh, okay, good.
Hope you're right.
Paul Gravett mentions that Eternals cover was by Mitton.
It's not by Mitton. It's by Frisianu. Frisianu was a very good French artist. He was a painter, and he had that sort of idea to represent superheroes in a realistic way. That is foretelling Alex Ross a lot. And so this year, last year at Angoulême, we had a wonderful Frisianu exhibition.
Oh, great.
And it was really, really great to see all the original covers. And so it was fantastic. It was organized by a friend of mine, Philippe Fad, and we could see wonderful stuff. Mitton is another French artist, very, very famous in this country, who contributed to this publisher, the publisher of Strange.
Yeah.
And he made some episodes of the Silver Surfer, which were in the tradition of John Buscema, and which were very, very good. And after that, he produced his own superhero stuff, Micros, which is going to be reprinted soon in French. So it's
nice.
It's very good, and he's such a good guy. He's a nice guy. You know him. So.
I enjoyed singing with him when I was in Angola. So that was good.
Yeah, wonderful evening singing
Wonderful guy.
American songs with him.
And
so with all that, I became very, very interested in American comics, but not realizing who Kirby was at the time. I was more into Marvel, like many people, and it took me years to realize it. And actually, it took me. It happened in the mid '80s when Captain Victory came out. I had a stack of Captain Victory waiting on the table next to my bed. I had not read them, and I decided to read them one sit, and I was hooked again.
Wow!
And that's exactly how it happened. I had to. It was as good as his best Fantastic Four, and I said to myself at the time, at Marvel, you had all these poor comics, crappy books, that were published, and I said to myself, well, I don't care with them anymore, and I'll have to go back to the artists, the real artists behind the real comic books. I do not pay attention to characters, but to artists and to creators. And so I came back to Kirby mostly, but Buscema, Colan, Kane, and all the other great guys from the 60s and before. And so that's how it happened. And I started, I was doing my studies. I was a student at that time, doing a PhD in chemistry and physics. So, but I dedicated my thesis to Jack Kirby.
Cool.
So that's something very personal. So nobody knew in the jury who Jack Kirby was, but I knew. So,
that's good.
And so it was. I wrote something which said, knowledge comes with imagination, and so I think it was important.
Yeah.
And then I started writing for comics, for magazines, and that's when I stumbled upon the Jack Kirby Collector, and it was a decisive meeting in my life with John Morrow's magazine. John became a friend. Personal friend, and I started collaborating with a very special issue.
That was the birth,
My poor English. I interviewed Will Eisner.
So wow, okay,
wow. So that's my first contribution to the magazine, and there have been many ever since. And yes, I met a lot of great people I admire through the Jack Kirby Collector. Will Eisner comes first, but there was also Philippe Druillet, Jean Giraud, Moebius, and many, many others. And some people I befriended, like Arnon, Jean-Marie Arnon, and Riedman. And we did some comics projects together, and that eventually led to comics in my country, and some of them I'm sure you know them, because we made a project of the Silver Surfer that was not accepted by Marvel, but we
right, yeah,
and so this one, this Silver Surfer, is exactly what happens after issue 18 when the Silver goes mad.
yes,
And yeah, you know what it is. So,
right,
Devil Dinosaur, which is one of my personal favorite,
yeah,
and Arnaud as well. So we did that together.
that's great.
And
Yeah.
Marvel decided not to accept them, so we did something else. We with the guys, we made a magazine. We actually Strange
Yeah,
was over at the time, and so we started to make a new series of this with this title. And so there was that Kirby series, Galaxy Green, that
right.
we finished with the authorization of the Kirby estate with artist Friedman. We use many Kirby
Yes,
covers for the magazine because, well, we asked them to
Bigfoot.
Thunderfoot, right?
Thunderfoot.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it led me to, well, we reprinted Silver Star.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It was unpublished in my country, or not completely published.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
And that's when I decided to write a biography of Jack Kirby. So,
Yes.
the book, so 2 books, very thick books.
Show us, yes, that's right.
Page each.
2 volumes. Incredible.
Fully illustrated with lots of text and.
Yes.
I have both of them in my library.
Yeah.
Yep. And the second book, so 2 books.
Yep.
So yeah, and
Great books.
Yeah, with these books, well, it took me 10 years to write these books, and well, so I was very lucky because when they came out in 2015, I won a prize. Well, the award for the best comic related books in France. So the books had a huge promotion at that time due to that, and I was very happy with that, very, very proud of that. And so we did that with the Kirby estate. So
it's only in French, right? It's never been translated, right?
No, never. And the fact is, it would be problematic today because they are fully illustrated. At that time, it was not a problem in my country, but and they read like a comic book because every paragraph is illustrated with something, Yeah. And but today, as they mix licenses from Marvel and DC, it would be a problem, I suppose. So they are out of print right now, and not sure they will be reprinted one day for that reason. Hopefully, we will find a way, or maybe remove the illustrations, but it would be a pity because lots of them, tons of them. So sorry for the list. It might be a bit long, but then I collaborated with my friend Michael Jerome on this book, Kirby and Me. So actually, it was to the money that was raised with that book was given to Hero Initiative,
yes,
and the Kirby for Heroes, and so it served that cause, which is great. And by the way, I participated yesterday, and I asked the many people, well, the people who will watch this video to do so because that's something to do. In honor of Jack Kirby.
Yes.
And so with that, I started collaborating. I've always wanted to make a comic book about Jack Kirby, and with Tom Scioli, we did that booklet. Unfortunately, he didn't. Well, he did his own book afterwards. I had a project with another artist to do my own book as well.
Yes.
Mine didn't succeed, but his did, and it's a wonderful book. So I'm very glad for him.
Yes, we had a nice chat with him yesterday. It was
after that, there was a very huge exhibition in my country, in Angoulême, the most important comic festival, and you were invited, so you remember. It was in
Yeah, we were there.
2015, I think, or 2000. Yeah,
2015.
Yeah. So this huge organization, this huge exhibition was organized by Frédéric Manzano from DS and I. And
Yep.
so we did with your help, a wonderful exhibition. Unfortunately, without original art. We had the original art, but as it was exhibited outside and under tents, they couldn't exhibit the original art because of condensation. It's in winter time, and
Yes,
it's
in a
really
tent.
but actually, the exhibition was absolutely wonderful.
It really was. It was great.
Yeah, and I was very proud to. It was like going into a cathedral,
That's right.
and see all these this Kirby art and displayed. Some of it was larger than the original ones. It was really impressive, really great. So after that, there had been some other exhibitions. One in my hometown, Limoges, which was more about Marvel, but with a great focus on Jack Kirby, as you can imagine.
Of course.
With some original pages, not as many as in Angoulême, but well, a dozen of them. So we were very glad, and with a very beautiful exhibition of comic books, American comic books, going up to the late 30s to now.
Could you send me some pictures of that, Sean?
Oh, I have some picture of that. Yes, but
yeah, send them to me sometime. I would love to see. Yeah.
Okay, no problem. And well, so it led me to participate to this exhibition that happened in Moselle. But in Moselle it was a little bit different. So I was contacted by them because formerly I had contacted them to tell them that Jack fought in Moselle, in Corny and around Metz.
Yes.
And I was in contact with an association there. And so the politician there decided to contact me to make an event out of that and to make something great. So I was contacted. I came with all my ideas. That was to make an exhibition, to make a festival, to give Jack a street name or something, and many other ideas. And with all the addresses I could have that could help the project.
Yeah.
And at one point, for their reasons I don't know, they decided to make it, but without me.
No, jeez.
Yeah. So these things happen, especially when you're very far away.
Yeah.
And so, well, anyway, we directed the film with Marc Azema, which title is Kirby at War. But well, it was not that easy. They didn't help us at all, and actually, yeah. So these things happen sometimes. It's a bit disturbing, but well. Anyway, so we directed the film, and I'm really glad because well, we could meet again in San Diego.
That's right.
So I interviewed you both, and hope to edit well to include the Tom Craft section in the film one day.
Yes.
Not necessary.
Yeah.
Prefer not to have it.
We will make a longer version of it with some segments that we want to film there again, and maybe to make a longer film with both films, Kirby at War and the Dna of Jack Kirby, and we will probably do that in the years to come.
Cool.
Yeah. So that's it. So that's, sorry, it's been a bit long, but
no.
now, I know it's a long way to America, and nobody knows me there. And but I had the privilege. It was 2 years ago to have Kirby at War programmed at the University of Charlotte. And so it was not the version you're having on Amazon Prime. It was just subtitled with no
Okay.
dubbing at all.
Right.
And it was cool. Everybody liked it, and I had tons of questions at the end of the film, and I could see that well, the way actually, I was really, really moved the first time I visited Moselle, because I all of a sudden I realized how hard it was for Jack Kirby, and at that time it made sense why his art was so changed after the war. I mean, before the war, he's a wonderful, dynamic artist.
Yeah.
We know it, and he's still the same after the war. But there's something more after the war. Something horrible in his art, something more tragic, something more, I don't know, expressionistic, if I may say so. But which is not pessimistic. That's not the same expressionism as in Germany, which is pessimistic, which is really in Jack's expressionism is still dynamic. It's still, it's like as if you had vitamins, and you were very very excited, very angry as well.
Mm-hmm.
But his art changed, and so I decided to. I think it's because of the war, or thanks to the war, if I may say so. Yeah.
I mean, I often think about him having just grown up in the poverty in the Lower East Side, and how inhumane that was. But then when he had his experiences in wartime, it was exponentially worse. Exposure to the worst of humanity.
Yeah.
And he still came out, as an incredibly dynamic artist, but then to have come out with even that optimism and that positivity that he kind of had with work like The Forever People, it's kind of just kind of really surprises me. And it's very impressive.
Yeah.
I think he really loved the young people, and he saw them as the positive future.
Positive future, yeah.
Yeah, so that's quite surprising, because he could see some very bad attitudes from people, and he was still optimistic, and he was still confident in the youth, and so it's amazing. Yeah.
So, do you have any thoughts about what about like the kind of movies that Jack Kirby watched, or anything like that? Because I know that I've been to your home, and I've seen all the movies that you have. So do you think about like movies at all? Do you think are there any particular Jack Kirby movies? Do you have a connection there?
I don't know. I think there are several sorts of films I'm sure he watched. So I'm sure he watched the Fritz Lang movies. Police, for instance. I'm sure he watched this one, because it's so obvious in his style that it's the same route, for many aspects. After that, I'm quite sure he watched the Universal monsters, especially the James Whale's films, including The Invisible Man, Frankenstein,
King Kong.
King Kong, yeah. King Kong. Yeah, absolutely. And all these films, and the gangster films as well, the James Cagney films. Scarface, the old one with Boris Karloff, for instance. I'm sure he watched them all, and Little Caesar, and all these ones. After the war, I'm not that sure. He may have watched. He may have watched. Well, whatever films his family wanted
Yeah.
to watch at the time. Rose might be interested in watching. I don't know, a romance. He would go
Douglas
and
Sirk. Yeah.
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 I'm not sure if he was into something more a genre more than into something else. He was
Yeah.
open-minded. That's my belief, but
Yeah. It's more,
I have
probably
no proof for that.
more youthful.
And but
More
I'm
youth-
sure.
yeah.
Sorry.
The stuff that he watched before he was married and with a family, he probably saw a lot more movies back then than
Yeah.
once he was married and with the family and working.
Yeah.
Crazy hours.
He was probably raised by the American serials, the Republic serials by William Whitney,
Yeah.
the Fighting Legend,
Yes.
and all these great films. Well, I'm sure about that because you can see that in his golden age stories. It works the same way. His
Yeah.
cliffhangers all the time.
Yep.
And, but after the war, it's obvious that he watched The Days He Stood Still or The Incredible Shrinking Man or all these films. But he might have he might have watched many films. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Do you have any of your any favorite like discoveries that you made during writing the biographies of like things that really kind of popped and you were like, oh my gosh, what I don't believe this happened. I mean, I know a few, but I want you to tell about them.
Yeah, and you contributed to them, so Yeah, that's what is really amazing when you research Jack Kirby. There will be no end of it. I just watched the preceding sequence with the cartoon, and so many drawings I didn't know. So just because you showed it on your list, I have one, but only
Oh my
one,
gosh.
unfortunately. You already have it. I could see on your list. Otherwise, I will scan it for you. What I discovered, the most interesting piece of art that I discovered was the Davy Crockett dailies.
Yeah.
That were published in France.
Yes.
And it's a friend of mine, Bernard Joubert, a specialist of censorship in comics, who told me that there was that series in a French title, a pocket book,
Yep.
Zoom, which is very difficult to find. And so I researched it, and because at the time I wasn't sure, there was that Davy Crockett title, published by Harvey.
Yes.
And
the 50s.
There might be, they could be the same. And so I said to myself, well, I'll have to check. And when I found the material, I said, yes, that's definitely something new. And it reads like a daily strip. So let's have a look, let's investigate. So I unearthed the title, David Crockett Frontierman, found who started it, and tried to date the time when Kirby ghosted it. And so it was 1955, if I remember correctly, the early, between January or February and February, a few weeks, not a lot, 2 months maybe. And but that's all I knew. So I made an article that was published in the Jack Kirby Collector, and around that time you discovered the rest of the story, and including the wonderful Sundays.
The Sundays were amazing.
Wow! Yeah,
that was like. How did that start? Oh, I got an email from Germany. They found a Sunday in Germany, and then it was like, what? There's Sundays, and we went and we found them, and then Doc Vassalo, Doc V, he was doing this whole exploration of the daily news New York Daily News comic strips, the Sunday sections, and it was almost like we were all kind of converging on it. You were there at the beginning, but then there just became this larger convergence of people like, oh yeah, look at this. There's Jack Kirby Sundays. It was really fun, really reward. That's the kind of research that can be really rewarding when you find things like that.
There was something else I discovered 2 years ago. I worked for a magazine, Hop. Hop is dedicated to all the, it's a little bit like Alter Ego in America, but dedicated to French comics. And my friend Louis France gave me the contact of one of his contacts, a guy who had discovered some pieces of art, and he didn't know what they were. And so we contacted each other, and that's when I discovered that concept drawing of Captain Nice that ended up on
big
the
color drawing
collector cover 2 years ago.
Right.
Yeah. So I was very proud because I had that document, that Jack signed, where he said he did a drawing, concept drawing, and so we had no concept drawing we didn't know that concept drawing. So discovering it was quite wonderful.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, and
so you're talking about the full color piece, right?
No, it's probably I don't remember.
Oh, okay.
So the one that was published as a variant cover for the Jack Kirby collector last year or 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So with Captain Nice and hey, it's not Captain Nice. Sorry, it's Tiger 21. Sorry.
Okay, Tiger 21. Right. That makes more sense. Yes.
Sorry, guys. Yeah.
Got it.
Tiger 21. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but as it was a little bit the same, because at one point Jack was proposing the two projects for to a TV producer.
And it was TV. It was TV in New York too, wasn't it? Yeah.
Sorry for the confusion.
That's okay. No, but it was.
And another discovery. Something. It's still to be researched, but that's the collaboration between Jack Kirby and for Scorsese Smith.
I know.
With Frank Robbins.
Yeah.
The fact is, I only had the French publication, so it was quite difficult. But nowadays, it has been reprinted in America, and you have the complete series that has been reprinted. So now you can check. But Jack ghosted Scorsese Smith for Frank Robbins. At the end of in the late 30s, and it's clearly Kirby, so I was glad because I could tell that, and it makes the connection between when Jack was drawing what's the name of that cowboy comic daily strip. The Lone Rider, I think.
Yeah, Lone Rider. Yep. Yeah,
the Lone Rider. So Jack started it. Then it was Frank Robbins, and Frank Robbins had to do Scorsese Smith, and he was late, and so Jack ghosted Scorsese Smith for him. And and the man doing the job of connecting everybody was a guy named Bob Farrow, who was working for Fox. And so it made sense, and so I was glad to discover that. So, but there are still some research to do on a later collaboration between Jack and Frank Robbins, because at one point in 1955 or 6, probably 6, he might have ghosted what's
Johnny Hazard?
Yeah, absolutely. And so so I haven't tracked down these pages. They're supposed to be Sunday pages.
Right. Oh, well, we'll
So
have
yeah, and so sometimes you discover one thing, and by checking the chronology, I stumbled upon the fact that was interesting. At one point, Jack, when Jack had started drawing Raw-Eyed Kid in 1960, I think.
Yeah,
Okay.
60.
Yeah.
Yeah, 60 or 61.
More like 60.
So it was this title was supposed to be drawn by Dick Ayers.
Yes.
Yeah, because Dick Ayers was drawing Wyatt Earp.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was discontinued to give room to the return of Rawhide. And Jack probably needed a job, and he asked Stanley to draw it.
Yeah.
And so Dick Ayers didn't have the job. And it seems to correspond to the time when Dick Ayers said to Jack, well, I won't ink Sky Masters anymore.
Oh, wow. There you go. Okay.
And Jack had to ink Sky Masters, which was a pain in the neck for him, because he was bored with the strip, and
that was the end.
On his own.
Yeah.
So it sort of corresponds, and so these sorts of things, when you research, you make a biography, you discover things like that, which are quite interesting. There's something else I stumbled upon, which to me is important. The fact that when in 1975, when Jack signed at Marvel again, he had many jobs to still had many jobs to do for DC.
Oh, right.
And he was already starting with at Marvel, and so at one point, he had that. He had lots of jobs to finish, and because he was paid, or he was supposed to do them for a living. And so I think this part has not been really documented, and so that's something I did on the biography.
Oh, interesting. So you think there's some work there that isn't generally known about that he did for DC at the end? Yeah. That's great. Can't wait to find out what it is.
Me too.
Well, it's not a non-work. It's just that he had work to do, and he was in a rush because he was supposed to start working for me, and at the same time finish his work at DC. So it must have been a terrible time for him. So that's what I meant.
We found something at Jeremy's house last year that was really interesting, and I'm just going to leave it as a teaser like that, and I'll talk to you about that in private. But there was a very interesting piece that was that Jack. The question is, I don't know whether he must have gotten paid for it, but it was a DC thing, and right? I don't know.
Right.
Can we talk about that or not? What do you say, Tom?
I don't see why not.
All right, so check this thing out. I'll describe to you this. You can bring it up, right?
I can bring it up. Yeah. Yeah, it was really strange because there was no art in it.
There's no art. It's a breakdown of a page with handwriting of a horror story for Joe Orlando by Jack Kirby. There's no art. It's script, page design. Were there panel borders?
There were.
There were panel borders.
I believe.
It was incomplete. It's about a few pages of it. And it was like, what is Jack doing coming up with like a story breakdown script for Joe Orlando? That was like a mind blower, And Tom's scrambling.
I got it.
He's got it. Hang on. Check this thing out.
Hold on.
All right.
I got to get set up here.
This is wonderful. If you, folks, please, any more questions or fun comments, we're welcome. It's great to see some friends in there. Oh, there we go. Can you see that, John?
Oh, great.
Isn't that amazing? I've never seen anything like that before. Thank you so much, Jeremy, for sharing your collection.
When Irish eyes are snarling. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's incomplete. It is what, 3 pages, Tom?
I don't know if it's you think it's incomplete?
I feel it's incomplete. I didn't feel like that story ended.
Let's see the last page. So it's many pages, as you can see.
Wow.
Oh, there is a little drawing.
Yeah. So he did one of the rare cases where he did breakdowns.
So this is a Jack Kirby breakdown.
Yeah.
For Joe Orlando, page 7.
Yeah, page 7. I guess it didn't finish because, yeah. So
that doesn't seem like an end.
No, it doesn't.
So anyhow, so there's still many wonderful things for us to find out there.
There's still a mystery. I don't know if you guys know the answer to this question. The fact is, in the mid-70s, Jack was producing a graphic novel, Captain Victory, as a graphic novel with Mike Royer. He was approached by a publisher. And the format is really strange because it has nothing to do with your graphic novels or whatever book you publish in the US. It makes more a connection with what we publish in Europe, the albums. And because it was 44-page book,
yes,
and or something. And I'm wondering who that publisher was. And I've been wondering for 10 years.
Yes.
And I don't know. It might be Dargaud. Dargaud is one of the main, or Lombard, the same, the one publishing the Tintin Weekly. Because at the time, the man in charge of this publishing house was Michel Gregg. And he was very fond of American comics. He was a friend with Jill Kane, with Leonard Starr, with many people, publishing many material which are not published in your country. There was Jason Drum by Jill Kane, which is a sort of John Carter-like character.
Yes.
There's also Leonard Starr, who did, what's the name? It's a beautiful gal. Investigator. I don't remember the name.
Kelly Green, right? They talked about Kelly Green.
Exactly.
Yeah, Leonard Starr.
You had 5 books, and they are very, very, very good.
French published, not in the U.S.
Yeah, he had Will Eisner doing some new covers for the Tintin Weekly as well. Yes. So, and it was when Star Wars came out.
Yep.
And I'm wondering if Michel Gregg didn't come to the San Diego Con and ask Jack Kirby to make an album, for the French audience that would become Captain Victory. I don't know. I have no proof for that because everybody died. Michel Gregg died. The other day, André Paul Duchâteau was also a publisher died, and so he didn't remember actually. So, and everybody died, so nobody knows anymore. And Mike Royer doesn't know as well, and so I don't know. So because
Sherman. I asked Steve Sherman. He didn't have any.
Yeah.
Any knowledge of it.
That's a pity because. These 2 guys, they were with Jack at the time, and they could know. But it was definitely not for heavy metal. So that I know because John Workman, and John Workman said no, it was not for.
And the thing about it too is that way it's being tagged has been tagged forever is with this Jack Kirby Comics project that
yes,
he
this
was working on.
line, of
But
comics.
We don't have anything that would involve, you know, 44-page album that was Jack Kirby Comics. So it's a great little mystery to keep working on. And you know,
yeah, so that's you know, it's just a line in my biography, but it took me well, I don't know how many months I spent researching that with no clue, no idea at the end of it, and so I had to give the text and not knowing the answer. So it's sometimes very frustrating.
Yes. Well, we're actually coming up on 50 minutes, so I think we're gonna close it up. Thank you so much, Jean. It's so good to see you.
Thank you so much, Jean.
Really.
Thank you so much for inviting me, guys. I'm really glad to meet you again. And sorry for my poor English, but
it's
very good English.
Yes.
It'd be great to see you again someday in France, you know?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, hopefully. Well, so I can tell you this. It's been 2 years now that I have prepared a new Kirby exhibition in the south of France.
Oh.
In the Fort-le-Cat. And, 2 years ago, it was postponed for some reasons. But this year, it should have been proposed, but with the crisis, the epidemics, it was maybe next year. So maybe next year you will have the opportunity to
that's great
come and visit us. And
yes, sounds great.
All right. Well, thanks again. And,
thanks, Jean.
We'll be in touch. All right. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.